Hey y'all. So, do you really need a license to start a home care business, or can you just skip that part and get started? Let's break it down right now. Okay? Before we get started, I'll introduce myself. I'm Mentor Makia. I'm your connect when it comes to the home care business. You know what I'm saying? I am the plug. If you're looking to start a home care business, basically, I got what you need. Okay. So now I'm playing with you guys, but this is a question that I get all the time. And I think I get this question because the services that we offer aren't medical in nature. So I think a lot of people feel like because we don't offer medical services, that you can just start this business without a license, without approval from any regulators in your state and things like that. And that is not exactly true. It can be true depending on the state that you live in. However, for the most part, that's not accurate. And so I know it might seem a bit overwhelming and unnecessary to think about this aspect of the business and think about how to get licensed and things like that. It might seem a little overwhelming. However, skipping this part, if it is something that was actually required, could ruin your business before you ever really get started. So this is super important. So I just want to cover this topic. In this video, I'm just going to explain, what type of licensing is required, what states require licensing, which ones don't, and what could happen if you do decide to start your business and not get licensed if it is required in your state. So first, I'll start with why licensing is important in the first place. So licensing is important because it protects your business, it protects your clients, it protects your caregivers. You know what I mean? It demonstrates that you are meeting the minimum safety standards in your state. Okay, so I know it might seem a little bit unnecessary, but it actually does serve a purpose. Okay, so, and then on the flip side, operating without a license, you could end up with fines, penalties, and even worse, you could get shut down completely. So you want to make sure that you find out if licensing is required in your state before you actually get started. You don't want to get started and then find out after the fact that you need it. So a good way to find out if your state requires any sort of licensing is just a quick Google search. You know what I mean? Literally go on Google, type in something like, is a license required to operate a home care business in my state? Whatever that state is that you live in, type that state name and you will be able to find the information that you need as far as if it is required. Now, of course, if it is, you may need some additional help and resources as to how to actually get that licensing, but at least you'll have the minimum information of knowing if it's required or not in your state. Now, is it required in your state? What I'm going to say is almost always yes. Almost every state is going to require a license to operate a home care business. Now, just going off of memory, I believe a few states that do not are Iowa, Michigan, and Massachusetts. I believe they might be the only ones. I could be wrong, so please don't just take my word for it. Like I said, do your own search to see if it's required in your state. But I think those are the three that don't require a home care license, but all of the other ones do. Now, the caveat to that is just because they don't require a home care license doesn't mean that nothing is required. There may be other regulations that are required before you can operate. Now, I will say as well, if you plan to accept Medicaid clients, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's probably a license that is required in every state. Don't quote me. I could be wrong. But what I'm saying, most times if you plan to accept Medicaid, there's always some sort of extra extreme steps that you have to take before you're able to do that. So now the licensing that is required, that's going to vary by state. I know in the state of Pennsylvania, where I operate, the licensing that we have to obtain comes from the health department. Okay. And then there is a separate set of steps and applications that have to take place if you want to accept Medicaid clients. And when I say Medicaid, I mean Medicaid waiver services, because there is a difference. So I just want to make sure that I clarify that. But if you want to accept payments from Medicaid waiver services, then there is another set of steps and applications that go along with that. But in the state of Pennsylvania, you most certainly need a home care license, and it does come from the health department. Now, if you skip that step and it was needed, the fines and penalties and being shut down, it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people feel like they can just fly under the radar and maybe get it later, get their foot in the door, get their clients, and then get it later. I don't recommend doing that, because the fines and penalties, they're just not worth it. The lawsuits, potential lawsuits, it's just not worth it. So I say do the right thing from the beginning. You know what I mean? Take whatever steps are necessary to get up and rolling legally, and then you don't have that part to worry about later. Okay, so I will be offering a course soon to help those that want to start a home care business and they just need more step-by-step instructions, more than what I could just cover on a 5-minute YouTube video. So if that's something that you're interested in and you feel like you need a little bit of extra help, I will be offering that soon. Just make sure you look out for any new videos that I post. Of course, subscribe, like the video, hit the bell so that you get notified whenever I do post new content, if that is something that you're interested in. And even if it's not, if you just want to watch my free videos, purchasing a course is not necessary because the internet exists. However, there are sometimes those that prefer more step-by-step instructions and assistance, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So if you just want to watch my videos, I think I'm going to try to keep the schedule of posting at least once a week, as I get questions, or just I might think of something that I feel like, you guys could benefit from knowing, just like I did. So that's all I got for you guys. Question of, is a license required? We already talked about in the last video, is a medical degree required? And we already, if you haven't watched that video, go back and watch that one. Actually, what I'll do is I'll put the link to it in this video, but we already talked about medical degrees. And so today I wanted to cover the topic of licensing, because it really is important. So thank you guys for watching. I hope it helps someone, and look out for any other new videos, and I'll see you guys later.